Welcome everyone to the Change Starts Here podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Odham, and I am incredibly excited about today's topic. But before we get into it, I just want to remind you all about the schedule that we've set up this year. In an effort to get better at what we're doing, each month we're going to try to have a clear topic or focus for all of our episodes to be a common theme. The first episode of every month will be a solo episode for me. The second and fourth episode of every month will be a focused podcast of our research team. And the third episode of every month will be one of our guests. Our goal with it, and something I talk to my team about often, is every interaction someone has with our organization, and hopefully this podcast, we want to make sure that it touches your head and touches your heart. So you leave smarter and you leave more inspired to go change the world around you. And so we've just got a really awesome, hopefully you've heard a couple of the episodes already. We have an awesome research team. One, they're brilliant, but two, they're very funny and very fun to listen to and very engaging. And so we thought that would be a great addition to our podcasting episodes. And so I hope you're enjoying it. We're also going to focus, at least this first semester or so, focus more on practitioners. We've gotten some feedback. We like to talk to more, superintendents or district officials or principals. And so we're going to have some thought leaders, certainly, but we definitely are going to work with practitioners. So with that, the focus of this month is self-awareness and initiative. And I want to take time, as much as I want to talk about initiative, because we talk about being proactive all the time, I just think the power of self-awareness it's incredible, because it has the potential to change our lives in the most dramatic ways. It's fascinating to me how we navigate through life, often moving from one moment to the next, one task to another, without truly stopping to look within ourselves. But what if I told you the key to a more fulfilled and authentic life lies in doing just that? Gain a profound understanding of who we are. Let's start by unraveling what self-awareness truly means. It's more than just recognizing ourselves in a mirror. It's about peeling back the layers of our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. It's acknowledging our strengths, accepting our weaknesses, and embracing the entirety of our being. Personally, I've spent way too much time either running from my weaknesses or spending too much time trying to fix them. I also struggle, as you can see, for those of you who get to see my setup here, you don't need to be watching the podcast. I listen to all my podcasts, but I've got my three young boys behind me in the pictures. And so life is crazy. They're all under 10 years old. My wife, who's just an incredible woman, works crazy hours with her school district. And so life is constantly moving fast. And so I struggle with creating this space and the time in my head to really explore who I am and what I'm thinking and how I'm truly feeling. So recently, a close friend made me aware of the ripple effect that self-awareness can have in my life. And she said the impact of self-awareness reaches far and wide, influencing every facet of our lives. When we are in tune with our inner world, we make better decisions, manage our emotions more effectively, which heck I need daily with my kids, and establish deeper connections with others, which is something I crave. It's like unlocking a door to a heightened level of consciousness. So that sounds great, but embarking on a journey of self-awareness requires courage and commitment. It's not always easy. In fact, it rarely is. It involves facing aspects of ourselves that we might have avoided, our fears, our insecurities, and our unresolved emotions. But in confronting these parts of ourselves, we find renewed sense of freedom and authenticity. I've struggled for a long time with anxiety, especially around missing a goal or just letting someone down in my life where I feel like a failure. And so it's something that I hate to talk about. I hate to recognize, because I like to, especially now, being married with a young family, I feel like I'm supposed to have this be a picture of strength all the time. And so I hide from those emotions, or I try to temp them down. But what happens is that just makes me even more secure and more anxious. And I'm finding that as I dive into the self-awareness and own my strengths, own my weaknesses, own my anxieties, it's giving me, as my friend talked about, deeper connections, and I'm controlling my emotions a lot more. So question for me is how do we cultivate self-awareness? It's certainly not a one-size-fits-all approach. For some, journaling might be a getaway to self-discovery, allowing thoughts to flow onto paper. For others, mindfulness and meditation could provide moments of quiet introspection. And let's not forget the power of seeking feedback from those around us, friends, family, and colleagues. I will say for me, that's the toughest, because while I love engaging with my friends and family, because of your friends and family, they can hurt you the most. You love them, but you don't ever want to disappoint them. And so for me, I find sometimes I'll chicken out, especially with my wife, for seeking that feedback, because I feel like if she gives me constructive feedback, then I've been letting her down. And so it's crazy, because my wife makes fun of me every time that we have these conversations, but we've got to dive into seeking that feedback from those around us, and being okay with not being perfect. I have found recently the power of kind of a new morning routine. So when you got 3 kids under 10, it's hard to get time alone. And so for me, the only time that my wife and I can get alone is early in the morning. And so one of the things I don't know if I've shared this with you all, but I go to the hospital every month for an autoimmune disease, and it's not really fun getting the shots and the other medication I get to take. So I've been trying hard to move away from that as best as possible. Most importantly, it impacts my breathing. And so I've started a new morning routine where, I do my reading time, kind of meditation, prayer, reflection time, but have been doing some breath work. And what I've noticed, while I'm still not great at it, I have noticed the power of really getting after, I think it's called the Wim Hof breathing technique. And I'm not trying to endorse one technique or another, but for me, I have noticed its power, not just in the moment of clearing my lungs and how I feel throughout the day, but I feel more in tune with my body as the anxiety spikes, as my emotions kind of are starting to bubble up. I can kind of sense them and use my breath to get myself back in check. And it has been awesome. And so I'm noticing different emotions before they happen, or different reactions that I'm starting to happen before they bubble up in a way I've never felt. And so for me, it's been the morning routine and really trying to master my breathing throughout the day that I've been fascinated with. But again, I think it's got to be a journey for everyone here. One thing I remind myself often is that the self-awareness journey isn't about striving for perfection. It's actually about embracing our imperfections, recognizing they are as much of a part of us as our strengths. Through self-compassion, which I am terrible at, we learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we extend to others. So what this means, and again, it's hard for me. It's funny, I don't expect anybody in my life to be perfect. But in my head, I always feel like I have to be perfect. And if I'm not perfect, then I'm failing. And the other part that I struggled with off and on for a while is embracing my weaknesses. I feel, through leadership development, working at FranklinCovey, being around a lot of really great thought leaders and taking strength finders tests and all those things, I have an idea what my God-given strengths are, but my weaknesses, I've spent a lot of time trying to either cover up or attack in a way that if I just spent that time getting better at my strengths and really owning my weaknesses and looking for amazing people to be on my team and around me to help me, who have strengths and that my areas of weakness, we would be getting way better results. That's kind of been my evolution. And so as you guys go through this self-awareness journey, really approach yourself with compassion and grace, because it's not about being perfect. It's about just understanding who we are, understanding things that make us great, understanding the things that are real challenges in our life, and not trying to hide them, but constantly look for people to help us grow in the areas where we struggle. The most challenging and rewarding part for me is reminding that self-awareness isn't a destination. It's a lifelong journey. And as we grow and change, our understandings of ourselves deepens. We uncover new layers, which I've done in just weeks of my breathing techniques, challenge old beliefs, which is a fun thing that I've been going through, and constantly redefine who we are. One of our newest books from FranklinCovey is Live Life in Crescendo. It's fun to think that we can continue to redefine who we are, no matter what age we are, or what step in our life process we're in. It's an ongoing process of discovery and rediscovery. As we wrap up, I just want to invite you to take a moment with me. And so if you're driving, I don't know where you're listening to this, but you don't have to close your eyes. If you can close your eyes, I think that's great. But you don't need to close your eyes. You can just drive and play along with me. But I want to take a time to pause, breathe, and turn your attention inward. What thoughts are swirling in your mind? What emotions are tugging at your heart? By embracing self-awareness, you're embarking on a voyage of self-love and self-acceptance, one that has the potential to transform your life in ways that you might never have imagined. So right now, I want you to do a breathing technique. We're going to do it just for 1 minute. And I want you to breathe in through your nose for 5 seconds and go just slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then breathe out for 5 seconds. And if all you can do during this time is just sense your breath, feel your body calm down, feel your blood through your body, that's awesome. But if you are at a place and you've done some breathing technique, take some time to think about and notice some thoughts of joy, some thoughts of stress that you're experiencing right now. This breath work has been so powerful to me. So I just encourage you all to take this minute with me. So with that, I'm going to say start right now. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Last one. In, out. If you need longer, hit pause, take some time with it. If you're not in the space to really embrace this, find some space tonight or in the morning, just a quiet place. And you even Google great breathing techniques that are out there. I think there's going to find a ton of power in it. So I leave you. I just want you to remember, you have the power to shape your own narrative, to become the author of your own story. That story, I believe, starts with the courage, and I do think it takes courage to slow down your life as best as possible, get to know yourself, again, strengths and weaknesses, and begin to fall in love with all of the aspects of yourself. Thank you for joining me. I hope you can tell that I am incredibly passionate about this journey of self-awareness. We've got some great podcasts this week, or coming out the next week with research. We have a great guest coming up, and I hope you enjoy this month, and I hope you get a lot out of it. And again, dive into breathing or journaling or whatever it is that you think is going to get you to a place of understanding who you are and getting closer to writing the story that you're here for. Have a great week. Please support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, podcast on Apple or Spotify, and help us celebrate the beautiful, messy work of shaping human potential.